Hi everyone, and welcome to this video on communication with stakeholders and accessibility. Today we're going to have a little look at what is a stakeholder, then we're going to have a look at methods and types of communication with stakeholders, followed by having a focus on accessibility features. There are many different types and methods of communication which companies use to communicate with stakeholders. Depending on who the stakeholder is will very much depend on which method of communication is used. For example, websites are a collection of web pages joined by hyperlinks which can contain text, images, video, games, software files, etc., which are generally open to everybody in the general public. Social media such as Facebook, Instagram or Twitter allows companies to communicate directly with stakeholders on a wide-scale basis. This can be through short messages which can contain text, video or images. Email, short for electronic mail, allows companies to send messages to other people with email addresses which can contain text, video, files, images and pretty much everything that you care to think of. Voice communication, such as VoIP, which is short for Voice over Internet Protocol, allows companies to communicate via either voice or video calls over the internet. Things such as Skype, FaceTime are all examples of this. The final one is live chat, which is a form of real-time communication between two or more people that allows them to have a virtual conversation. You might have experienced this if you ever go onto a website and you get a help applet which pops up. Okay, so now we're going to look at the accessibility settings. We find these in the ease of access settings. To start off with, we're going to look at audio, which is for people who obviously are hearing impaired. And you can do things like turn up the volume, you can switch stereo to mono for people with hearing aids, but also you can add in there visual alerts. So for people who are hard of hearing, the screen can flash whenever something happens, whenever there's an event, and it will draw their attention to it. The next thing that we're going to look at is display, and this is for people who are visually impaired. So on here we can do things like increase the text size to make things easier to read. We can make everything bigger so that therefore icons and pictures are larger and easier to see. And we have a further range of options that we can click on in order to make things easier for people depending on their particular need. One in particular is the high contrast setting, which is something that we're going to look at later. Next, we're going to look at the cursor and pointer settings, and again these are for people with visual impairments. So what you can do here is you can change the type of cursor being used, for example make it colourful or make it larger, so therefore it's easier to spot on the screen. You can also change the cursor when you're typing, so therefore again it makes it easy to spot in amongst the words. The magnifier is pretty self-explanatory. This simply just magnifies the whole screen. Colour filters mean that you can change the whole screen colour depending on what your particular need might be, and this is particularly helpful for people who are colourblind. High contrast, as is demonstrated here, will turn colours usually to a black background with high contrasting white and bright colour foregrounds, again making it easy to read for people with visual impairments. And the narrator is for people who find it very difficult to see at all, and it will simply speak all the words and actions that are taking place on the screen.